Welcome to the PFFUI podcast. On this month's episode, President Tony Murray and Vice President Mike Whitehead discuss the 2024 Indiana legislative session and bills that the PFFUI is following. Enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to the PFFUI podcast. My name is Eric Shoib, and I'm joined today by President Tony Murray. Hey Tony, how's it going today?
It's going pretty good. Hello, Eric.
The 123rd Indiana General Assembly has been in session since January 8th. The PFFUI legislative team has been at the State House nearly every day since the start of session. Today we have Vice President Mike Whitehead joining us to discuss bills that the PFFUI is tracking. Hello, Mike. How are things going at the State House?
Yeah, it's there, doing well. Like you said, we're there every day watching and looking at the bills and testifying.
How many bills are the PFFUI currently tracking?
As of this morning, it's been about 80 bills. There's still a few dropping because the deadline was last week, but about 80 right now. I expect it to go up another 10 or 15.
Okay, yeah. So we'll be, could be close to 100, I think.
Okay, so the first bill that we're going to talk about today is Senate Bill 275, which concerns the DREP program.
Yeah, this is, we've talked to a lot of members about the chances of DREP being extended from right now. The maximum in law is up to 3 years or 36 months. And we've been talking to legislators and talking to members about what the possibility of changing that to extend that to up to 60 months or 5 years. So, yeah, we did get a bill that is dropped and filed, and I think that we're anticipating a hearing maybe next week.
Yes, the bill is Senate Bill 275. It's got a few pension bills in it, or a few pension language in it, and the drop is one of the parts to it. The way the bill is written currently, if you are currently in the drop and this passes, this would allow you to extend it up to the 5-year maximum.
And I know in talking to members, that was one question that I commonly received was, can we stay in or extend that? And that is in the bill. So we've been pretty aggressively shepherding this language and working with the bill author. And also with our FOP partners, because it does affect them as members of the 77 Fund. And, Mike and I, we agreed early on that one of the advantages to extending the drop up to 60 months and actually allowing people in the drop to extend up to 60 months is that's 2 more years of retention, and that's really kind of important in the police departments around the state right now too. Keeping a police officer 2 more years makes a big difference.
Correct, and it's beneficial to our guys also. It's 2 more years of additional savings that they could get at the end of their drop period.
That's right, and kind of an opportunity then to sort of evaluate where they are financially, and maybe they got a little behind in their performance and getting ready for retirement, and this gives them an extra 2 years, like you said, to help kind of create a little nest egg. And I think that it's also important to make sure that members, before they're signing up for the drop, that they do that evaluation. There's a tool on the IMPERS website that actually where you can plug in your years of service, your pension base, and a drop number of months, and that will put together what your benefit package may look like, including your lump sum. So for everybody, it's a little bit different, so I always encourage members to kind of take the time, look at the IMPERS website, and run those numbers so they can actually see it and make a good, informed decision.
Correct. And like you said earlier, this bill was assigned to Senate Pensions and Labor. They meet on Wednesdays, and we anticipate next Wednesday it's going to be heard.
That's right.
Great. Okay, so we're going to stay in the Senate for our second bill. That is Senate Bill 54, which is Marion County Fire Department consolidation.
Yeah. So actually, we're recording this Wednesday afternoon after the hearing. We had about a 2.5-hour hearing this morning, Mike.
Correct.
Mike was running around to some other hearings in the morning time, but this is something that is the fourth time that this bill or a similar bill has been filed. That essentially, and this bill specifically, actually puts the decision making up to the city's county council and the mayor of Indianapolis to consider whether or not there should be consolidation of the 3 remaining townships into the Indianapolis Fire Department. So there's a lot of testimony today and a lot of good questions, and we testified on this bill as well in committee.
Yeah, and currently, or what this bill is, it's a Marion County only bill. What it would do is it would bring Marion County and Indianapolis Fire Department in line with the other 91 counties. In every county in Indiana besides Marion County, when a city annexes, that city assumes the fire protection in that area that they annexed. In Marion County, Indianapolis goes all the way out to the county lines. Marion County is all Indianapolis.
The consolidated city.
Right. And there's 3 townships within Marion County that, because of the Unigov language, the power goes to the township board and the township trustee on fire protection. So this would change the law to move Marion County just like any other county in Indiana.
Yeah, and Mike has been lucky enough to be around for all 4
Yes.
of these bills.
Wow.
Starting in 2014, then again in 2015, then again in 2020, and now here we are in the 2024 session. And guess what? It happens to be Mike's last session, so we'll actually see how this goes. I kind of, it's tongue in cheek. We, this work is it takes turns and twists and and what our effort here is, and I just want to make sure that our listeners know that our emphasis here is to really be proactive in terms of managing how these processes go. And Senate Bill 54 really outlines a process for consolidation and mergers of the fire departments in the township to IFD. And, our first and foremost commitment as the PFFUI is to our members. So the security of our members in terms of their ability to be safe, do their job well, be compensated, have good benefit packages, and have retirement security, those are at the forefront of why we're even involved in this conversation. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And along that, like Tony said, it was heard today. They didn't vote anything today. They're supposed to take a vote on it next Wednesday. So we'll see.
So now we move over to the House side for our next bill, which is probably one question that we get asked about a whole lot over the past year or so, and that has to do with House Bill 1027 and the fire department work schedule.
Yeah, so this is also something that we've had a lot of conversations over the spring and summer. This bill really originated, and this is not something that we're intending to do. This is not on our priority list of legislative agenda items, but we had a legislator contact us and said that he was getting some information and some requests from constituents that are firefighters about the inability to change their work schedule from the customary 24 on or modified Kelly or the 24/48 system because of a current statute. And as Mike and I talked about that, and we sort of looked at how could we sort of massage this to allow this to happen. And so we provided the lawmaker, Representative Hostetler, with some concepts that we thought would be good to consider, maybe in putting language in the current statute that would allow for this. So essentially, what was recommended was that if there is an agreement between labor and management, while utilizing the meet and confer law that's currently on the books that creates the ability to have a conversation, that if both sides, labor and management, by majority agree to try a different work schedule, that then would be permissible. But it really forces a conversation in both labor management, and we tread lightly, to be honest.
Yeah, we didn't want to interject to the departments and say, this is the schedule that you have to work.
Yeah.
That's up to each individual department. But what we wanted to be careful and make sure we crafted the language in it that it doesn't allow a chief or department to force a work schedule on the firefighters.
Yeah, we want our locals to have a seat at the table, to have, especially when it comes to work schedules. Like, so in my experience, the color of a fire rig and a work schedule is like really important. And very emotionally driven. Like, it's like somebody who that screws up dinner. You know, it's that serious at the firehouse. So we wanted to, and we don't. We wanted to try to steer some language and provide some insight to the lawmaker. And it's really nice that we are there and that lawmakers feel comfortable coming and talking to us about, you know, getting some ideas when they get this communication from, you know, constituents that want to do things. So we're there and are able to provide this, I think, you know, beneficial information and from a reasonable approach. So this will likely get a hearing here in the next week or so. And we'll be testifying on the bill, really to highlight the points that we just discussed right now.
Yeah, and we've got a commitment from the lawmaker that if throughout this process, if it gets amended, that takes away the language that we suggested, that he would make sure the bill either went back to the original form or not move the bill.
Yeah, and I think that also it's important for our listeners to know that the PFFUI is not endorsing any particular work schedule, right? So that's very near and dear to the firefighters, you know, so to make that. But I think in any consideration, this bill would allow for a seat at the table.
Great. So let's just reiterate that point that the PFFUI endorses no certain work schedule.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
Great. All right. So we stay in the Senate So we stay in the House for House Bill 1302, which talks about EMS as a essential service.
That's right up Tony's alley.
Yeah.
He's our resident EMS guru.
Big EMS guy. I can spell it. So yeah, we've been. This is not something that necessarily came out of our priority list, but this is having some conversations with other public safety stakeholders. The Fire Chiefs Association and the PFFUI, we started having a conversation back in the summer, and you know, there was IDHS involvement, you know, in the fire marshal's office and EMS, and talk about doing an evaluation and to understand what our challenges in EMS are around the state. So this is really an initiative of the Fire Chiefs Association that we really jumped on board as a stakeholder group to provide some feedback. So really what this bill does is it would require counties to provide information about what their EMS transport system looks like now, and also their non-transport system, whether it's BLS, ALS, how it looks, and provide that information by a date certain this spring to IDHS. And then the bill also generates a study committee to look at that information and then revisit in the 2025 session the information that was gained out of that summer study to see what laws might need to be changed or made to help with providing transport EMS service in the best way possible across the state.
Okay, so now we go to Senate Bill 160, which talks about the cost of living adjustment and the drop.
Well, this is out of like you said, a Senate bill. The COLA increase, we started this last year in law for the 77 fund, which we're very fortunate to have an automatic COLA. We're one of only 2 out of the 7 that Emperor's overseas that has automatic COLA. It's the 77 fund and the judges. Our COLA is capped at 3%. It's tied to the CPI, and it's never been a problem before, except last year because the economy, the downturn, the CPI was so high.
Inflation,
it was 8.5%. Our retirees got a 3% raise because of the cap. We started talking about this last year. We wanted to increase the cap to 5%, and that comes at a cost. Emperor's Actuaries run some numbers on it. They say it's going to run about $95 million a one-time injection into the 77 fund to pay for this. We couldn't get any traction on it last year, so it's back again this year.
Back again this year, and to keep the conversation going. And so one of the things that I've learned in the time that I've been doing this, and Mike can really attest to this, is that generally speaking, the first time you introduce a concept or a bill, it gets vetted around and really maybe doesn't go anywhere. So
especially if it's got a price tag.
Especially if it's got a price tag. So, I run into a lot of our members, and this is something that they ask about. We get a lot of interaction from retired members, too, that are asking about this because they're really feeling it. So just so everybody knows, we're keeping this on the agenda. We're keeping this on, sort of front of mind, and that means we're continuing to talk about it, and we will. It's unlikely that this particular piece, the COLA increase, will get any momentum in this session because also it's not a budget year. So the budget is fixed until the end of 2025. So next year, when we come back into the long session, the state will be building a 2-year budget as well. So we're more inclined to maybe see some movement there.
Now, we did have a meeting with the governor a few weeks ago, and we threw that out that this could be a good legacy for him to go out on.
That's right.
He could slide it into something on his way out.
A little opportunity. We say, just a little piece here and there, just a little piece to keep the ball moving forward, yes. I guess. Yeah, using a governor's analogy. Yes. He's a big basketball.
Okay, so then we go to House Bill 1399, which talks about PFAS chemicals and its definition.
This was heard today. It did pass out of committee. This got the attention last year of the chemical industry. We had 2 bills passed that labeled turnout gear, firefighter turnout gear, if it contains PFAS, which all of them do right now. And the other one is the blood testing, doing a pilot program, blood testing 1,000 firefighters a year. The chemical company came to us and said we wanted to change the definition of PFAS because there are certain products that has PFAS in that's beneficial. And we said we don't want to do anything that's going to hurt the bills that we just passed in 22 or 23. And so what they done, they carved out firefighters where the definition of PFAS is for firefighters and only for the manufacturing process. So there was a lot of good debate. There was Graham Peasley, a professor out of Notre Dame, that came and spoke and actually enlightened some of the legislators, I think, and it's got them talking about whether or not they should even do this.
Mm-hmm.
It just barely passed out of committee, 7-5 today. It's got a long way to go, but I think there was some information that was brought up that they didn't think about. So
yeah,
we'll see.
And I think that well said, Mike. And I think that our concerns were really taken care of in the language of the bills, preserving the definition for the fire service as is. Because we have some concerns. We don't know the real effects of long-term effects of PFAS exposure of our members. So we want to preserve that portion of the definition that affects our members as is. So I guess the one thing to really mention is it's good that they're having conversation with people that know this issue in depth, from the scientific community. But the fact that we were brought in and asked, how this might affect us is very helpful too, yes. I think, in the entire process. And we do appreciate that dialogue.
And the last bill on our list is House Bill 1134, which covers local income tax.
Yeah, so while Mike was really grinding on PFAS in the other committee, in the gears of lawmaking, right, in the process, I was upstairs in Ways and Means, and
where all the money's at.
Where all the money's at. So in Ways and Means this afternoon, we organized a new local last year in Floyd's Knobs. Floyd's Knobs Local 5426, which is the Highlander Fire District in Floyd County. So we had their chief, and they had some members, 3 or 4 members that were up today because they had an unintended consequence, essentially, of by merging two fire districts who were receiving local income tax to fund the operation of the fire districts. When those two merged, the unintended consequence was that they no longer fell under the rule which would allow them to receive the local income tax. So they made the call out. They had a legislator that filed a bill on this, and they called out for our assistance, and we provided some testimony in support of this bill that would remedy this problem and make the Highlander Fire District whole again with the local income tax fund.
This is not a complete list of bills that the PFFUI is watching. The session is ongoing and is oftentimes changing from day to day, hour to hour, and minute to minute. For the most up-to-date information when it comes to this year's legislative session, please follow us on social media. We will be putting information out as soon as it becomes available.
Yeah, and, these gears keep turning as the session rolls on, and if anything comes of great importance, we'll make sure that we're communicating with members. This is a short session in the legislature. We're only 2 weeks in, but leadership, both in the House and Senate, agree that the magic date is March the 8th for sine die.
It's going to go fast and furious.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Eric for getting our information out. Tony and I compile the information, and Eric does a great job getting it out on social media and informing our members. So
that's right. It's a great, Eric, you're doing a great job as the communications director by communicating. It looks nice and it's easy to absorb. So, and we do get a lot of comments from people saying that, they feel informed. So thanks for doing that.
Honestly, thank you
again.
again.
Blushing.
Yeah, I'm blushing very much. So
blushing.
Thank you guys.
All right, Eric, and before we wrap up, I just wanted to say, if any member out there listening or any local that would like to come down to the State House and see how the process works, see what we do, contact myself or Tony. We can let you know when would be a good day. Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays are committee and session. Wednesdays is just committee only. So let us know, but we'd love to have you here, and we'll get your legislators out, let you meet them, and come and see how the process works.
And it comes with a Diet Coke. So, how could you pass that up?
That just sounds delicious.
You need to be caffeinated and refreshed to do this work.
Well, Mike, Tony, thank you guys for your time and all of your hard work down at the State House. And we look forward to hearing updates from the 123rd Indiana General Assembly.
All right. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you for listening to the PFFUI podcast. Follow us on social media by searching the Professional Firefighters Union of Indiana. For more information about news and upcoming events, visit www.pffui.com. Until next time, this is PFFUI Communications Director Eric Shoaib. Stay safe.